Good evening. This is a meeting of the Brockton Conservation Commission. This meeting is being held remotely in accordance with Governor Healy's open meeting provisions updated in March of 2023, which extended certain COVID-19 provisions until March 31st, 2025. Real-time public participation and comment can be addressed to the Conservation Commission using the Zoom virtual meeting software for remote access. If you wish to comment during the public input portion of the hearing, please use the raise your hand function to be addressed at the appropriate time. For those of you joining by phone only, please press *9 and raise your hand. A copy of this recording will be on the city's webpage. Please note that this is a professional meeting. Should disrespectful or inappropriate statements be made during the meeting, the host reserves the right to mute the speaker. All votes taken during this meeting will be done by roll call vote to ensure count accuracy. Commissioners, please state your first and last name for purposes of establishing quorum.
Lily Green.
Sharifa Mapp.
Justin Talbot.
And Joyce Boris. So we do have quorum.
Madam Chair, before we move on to the first item on the agenda, I have an announcement about how we plan to address the potential transition back to in-person meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the first thing is I've received some emails, and so apparently there's an extension that's been proposed in the House and passed in the Massachusetts State House. This would extend the provision that allows us to do these remote meetings. That would last for 2 years. It's just an extension rather than making it permanent. So that will need to go to the Senate. I think they anticipate voting on that later this week. So we might have an answer in the next week or two. But in case we don't get that extension for one reason or another, the backup plan is to begin having meetings in person at City Hall, Brockton City Hall, in the GAR room. Same time, but it would just be that would be the physical location if we have to go back to doing in-person meetings. So we'll have hopefully we'll have an answer by the time we get to posting legals and things for our next meeting. But in case we don't have an answer, the fallback is just to have them in person at the GAR room.
Okay, thank you. And that's April 16th is the next meeting, correct?
That is correct.
I just have a very quick question. If public, will there be a call-in procedure or any way that there will be like a hybrid of Zoom and in person? So that way, if the public wanted to call in, that they might be able to do that as opposed to having to physically attend.
Yeah, there might be a way to do that. Hybrid meetings in general are pretty hard to run. So, we'll see. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We can always do like a phone in, I'm sure. But we'll have to see. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to manage that because I just don't know how what we're going to be doing next month.
Yeah, hopefully. Honestly, I really kind of do like this remote. It just makes it so much easier to watch everything, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Before I begin, I will just state the list of the continued filings that have been continued at the request of the applicant. Those are number 9, 940 Belmont, number 10, 549 Copeland, number 12, 0 Lawton Ave, number 13, 136 Perkins Ave, number 15, 68 12th Ave, number 16, 50 Christie's Drive, number 17, 196 Manley Street, and number 18, 159 Torrey Street. Commissioners, have you had a chance to review 3 sets of minutes? I know that we had postponed the reading of the minutes from the last 2 meetings until tonight. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take each one of those individually then. I entertain a motion then to accept the minutes from January 28th.
I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from January 28th, 2025.
Second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Green, aye.
Mapp, aye.
Talbot, aye.
And Voris, aye. That passes. Thank you. Now I entertain a motion, please, for the minutes from January 29th.
Make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from January 29th, 2025.
I second that again.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Green, aye.
Map I.
Talbot, aye.
And Forrest, aye. Thank you. And motion, please, for minutes for February 19th.
Make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from February 19th, 2025.
I'll second again for the third time.
The motion's been made and seconded. A roll call vote, please.
Green, aye.
Map I.
Talbot, aye.
And Forrest, aye. Thank you. And thank you, Isaiah, for getting those minutes done within the same month. It makes it so much easier to have that consistency, to be able to see what's going to be, what we talked about last month and see what's being followed up this month. Thank you very much for doing that. It's hard to do that in a timely way.
Kyle was very helpful. He helps me out a lot, so I give him some credit too.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda, I think, Kyle, you'll handle that, right? The officer elections?
Yeah, sure. I can step in and kind of help with this. So, once a year we have to elect our officers. The terms are for 1 year. So we do them every March. So we're looking for to fill the chair position and the vice chair position. So currently the chair is Joyce Forrest. Thank you, Joyce, for serving in that role in the past year. The vice chair is Ruby Clay. She is not on the call with us tonight. She was potentially going to run late. I'm not sure if she's planning on joining the meeting later or not. But at this point, we do need to, elect a chair and a vice chair. At this point, Joyce, if you would like to make a statement, you are welcome to. Do you have anything to say?
I'm happy to do it for 1 more year, but it would be the very last year that I'd be able to do it, unless someone else would like to take on that responsibility. I have no problem at all sharing that joy.
Right. And I was just alerted that Commissioner Curtis was in the attendees, so I've promoted her to join the meeting here, so she will be able to vote moving forward.
Good.
Sorry about that, Peggy. All right. So given that the vice chair is not here, I did speak to Ruby about the position, and given the state of affairs between the federal government and all the changes that are happening now with the new administration, she does not feel that she has the time to dedicate to serve as the vice chair for an additional term. So I do not believe that Ruby is willing to serve in that role again in this next year. So we've heard that Commissioner Voris is willing to remain as the chair. Do we have a motion for the chair position for this coming year?
Is anyone else on the commission?
Oh yeah, is anyone else? I mean, like, this is open, so if anyone can nominate anyone at this point. There's no holds barred.
It's so much fun.
I mean, I'd like to make a motion or nominate the current chair to maintain 1 more year if you would like.
All right, we have a motion to nominate Commissioner Voris to remain and serve as chair for an additional term of 1 year. Do we have a second?
I second that.
All right, second from Sharifa Map.
Thank you.
I guess we'll do well. Any other comments or questions from the commission before we take a roll call vote? Seeing none, I will entertain a roll call vote to elect Joyce Voris as chair for an additional term.
Curtis, aye.
Green, aye.
Map I.
Talbot, aye.
Thank you for your confidence, guys. Appreciate it.
Chair Voris, you're going to abstain, I guess, from this vote?
Mhm.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you. So now we are able to elect a vice chair. So again, Ruby is not able to serve in that role again this year, but the rest of the commission members are present. So between Commissioner Mapp, Talbot, Curtis, and Green, do Do we have anyone that's willing to step up and serve as vice chair? Anyone that's interested in that position?
I will.
Oh, you will, Lily? Okay,
I mean,
good.
come, Mr. Kosciuszko, would I welcome
Nope.
to? No?
I
Okay.
think you have more time than I do.
I was also received a text message from Commissioner Clay, who also she's not here yet this evening, but she thought that Justin would serve be a good person to have in that role. So I just want to throw his name in there as well as someone that one of the other commissioners that's not present is considering. So do we have anyone whose names come up? Do you have anything to say? You want to make a statement, or we can just go to the nomination phase?
Peggy or Sharifa, are you interested at all?
I am not interested, but thank you.
No, I'm not.
Maybe next year.
Okay. So it sounds like we're looking at considering Commissioner Green and Commissioner Talbot. Do either of those two listed have anything to say? I mean, you're not required to make a statement, but if you would like to, now would be the time.
I want to say thank you to Ruby. I will be more than happy to be vice chair. However, if Lily, you would like to be vice chair, I'm all for it.
I mean, I'm happy to take a crack at it. It's environmental related. I've worked with Joyce in the past in terms of just knowing her for so long, and this is technically, I think, will be my last like full term. Not this coming August, but the August afterwards. So
So is a vote between the two of them, or is it? I don't.
Well, so what we need to do now is we need to make a nomination. Basically, we'll entertain a motion to elect either of them as the vice chair, and then we'll go to a vote. And whichever one gets a majority vote first would be the vice chair. So at this point, unless there's another comment from the commission members, we will be entertaining a motion.
The only question that I have is if Justin deferred to Lily, would we vote between the two of them, or is his deferral to Lily?
No, so we're not going to do a heads up like vote, like 3 votes for this person, 2 votes for this person. We're just going to, we'll make a motion to have one of them be the vice chair, and then if they make that majority vote, that will pass. And if the commission doesn't feel that person should be the vice chair, then that motion can fail, and we can make another motion for the other person.
Okay, thank you.
So we need to make a motion. I make
Yes,
a
please.
motion to nominate Lily Green for vice chair.
All
Motion
right, we have
seconded.
a motion for Lily Green as vice chair. Do we have a second?
I'll second, thank you.
Okay, Joyce for a second. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, aye.
I'll just
Abstain.
abstain. Map I.
Talbot, aye.
And Voris, aye.
All right, well, congratulations, and thank both of you for being willing to put forth the extra work that entails. So I think that's it for this agenda item, Madam Chair. Thank you.
And Lily, by the way, I will not be here in May. I'm going to be traveling in May. So you'll be serving here in May.
thank you for that.
Okay, so where are we now? Officer elections are done, the minutes are done, and we're all the way up to 34 Harmon Street.
Yes, that's correct, Madam Chair. I was hoping that someone from DPW, Brockton DPW, would be in attendance tonight. I do not see anyone from DPW, but if there are, please raise your hand in the attendees and we can promote you. Give us a moment, Madam Chair, but otherwise, I think we should just move on past this item. This isn't really a public hearing or anything, but you can just move on the agenda. And hopefully we can get someone from DPW to come speak to the commission about this matter next month.
Okay, thank you. So the
Yeah,
next
still,
item
I don't see anyone, so I guess we can go ahead and move on. Thank you.
okay, the next item on the agenda is 940 Belmont Street. fuel station revisions.
Yeah, that's correct, Madam Chair. So I'm going to promote a panel, one of the attendees here to panelists. Da-da-da-da-da. And in short, I was approached by, so this is a little background. The commission approved this project. This has an active order of conditions. The commission reviewed this and issued the order of conditions maybe a year and some change ago. So this is for a fuel station to be constructed at the VA hospital. This is on the southern portion of the site. And this is not a fuel station that's open to the public. This is not a gas station. This is just for the equipment, that the groundskeepers use to maintain, the VA hospital grounds. So the reason that I've asked, someone to come and speak to the commission about this, the proposition, the change is kind of outside of the scope of the commission. It was one of these things that, the change that they're presenting or they're proposing was on the plan set that we approved. So it is a change from what the approved plans, but it's kind of a separate thing that's not really technically probably within the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission to really weigh in on this. So I'm going to let, I think it's Donald.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Don, if you would like to take over, I guess, through the chair, Madam Chair, forgive me.
That's okay. Good evening, Mr. Lynch.
Good evening. And my name's Don Lynch. I'm with the Sella Architects and Engineers. We are the design engineering firm for this project. And basically this request goes back to a comment that came up in the review of this project by Beta, which asks for a means of emergency shutoff or containment of the fuel tank. Now we provided, there was always an emergency shutoff. We provided the tank itself has an exterior shell which serves as a containment area. It has basically a dipstick, if you would say, to check to make sure that there was nothing leaking into this containment area. It's something that is part of a regular monthly maintenance, is to check to make sure there were no leaks into that containment area. But in addition to this containment, there was also a secondary containment provided, which was a depressed concrete area around the tank, which served as somewhat of a bathtub effect. And what the VA is asking is to remove that bathtub and just rely upon the containment provided with the fuel tank itself. They have concerns of water collecting in there and freezing, and just providing a situation that will cause problems for personnel operating the area as well as maintenance.
Thanks, Mr. Lynch. How big is that fuel tank? How many gallons?
It is, yeah, give me 1 second. I believe it's two 900-gallon tanks, one for regular gasoline, one for diesel.
Yes, with diesel. And then, so the trucks will come up and actually pump it like the way they do at a gas station?
Yes, yes.
And I was reading through the revisions. It said something about filling that sump.
Yes. The desire is to fill that sump area to be level with the rest of the ground around it, and then set the fuel tank on top of that filled area. But at the same time, filling it, providing grooves in the concrete so that if there was any minor spillage, it would be collected in those grooves and not go out into the street. And that would be strictly spillage as part of someone fueling their vehicle.
So I thought I read something about water, concern about the water collecting and freezing. in that
Yes,
area?
within the sump area that we're proposing to remove. There's, right now as it stands, there's a 13-inch depression where this fuel tank is sitting, which if there was a catastrophic failure of the tank, this depression would collect everything. And that is the area that, oh, there it is. Okay, it's up on your screen.
Kyle's got your hand up.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll wait until we're done with this discussion, but I do have
Thank you.
some comments here in a moment.
Okay.
So that depressed area is actually below ground, below the surrounding ground, which isn't really accurately shown on that detail, and we've already had some, this is constructed already, and there have already been issues with rainwater collecting into the sump area and freezing. So the VA was very, very concerned about that and wanted to see if we could eliminate it and just rely on the containment within the tank itself.
Mhm.
I should say the outer shell that serves as containment.
Kyle, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. So now that we've got the detail up here, I guess the ask for the commission, the goal tonight is to determine if this is a change that they can just make without coming back and doing an amended order of conditions, or if this is something that the commission feels warrants additional review. I guess I did speak to Beta about their review for this project, and they did review the project for compliance with stormwater standards and with the Wetland Protection Act standards. All the work here with the tank especially is within the buffer zone. This is not within the wetland proper. So it's just whether or not this change here the commission thinks warrants the applicant to come back and get an amended order, or if this is something they can just kind of we've talked about this before, when they come back for a certificate of compliance, they just need to note any deviations from the approved plan set. And is this something that the commission's concerned about, or is this something that if this comes up and says at this time when this project's done and they come up with a certificate of compliance, they say, hey, we filled this sump area with concrete, I don't want that to be a problem down the line, So we kind of just need to give some guidance to the applicant as to how to proceed with this, if they need to do that extra filing, or if we're comfortable with this as it is now. So I guess my last statement is, when Beta did their review, Beta was not reviewing really outside of that comment that Mr. Lynch mentioned at the beginning. Beta's not really reviewing for to make sure that all the fuel handling regulations have been met. That's kind of beyond the scope of the review that Beta did for the commission. So apparently they did ask for some extra, the shut off, the emergency shut off and things like that. And so this was a thing that was the sump was something that was added, I guess, in response to Beta's comments. But I just thought it was important for the commission to weigh in on this, because I know there were some concerns when we initially approved this project because of the proximity of the fuel tanks to the wetland resource area. So that's all that I've got for now.
You said it is within the buffer zone. Do you know how?
Yeah, I've got the plan of record here. Are you able to see this plan now that I'm scrolling through the details?
Yeah.
All right. So the wetland is down here marked by these triangle flags here. We have the 25-foot, 50-foot buffer zone. This is where the fuel tank is. So it lies between the 50 and the 100-foot. And there's also the drive is between the fuel tank and the grass retention area. There's a retention basin, I think, over here. But yeah, there's 50 feet of buffer kind of between the tank and the wetland.
Is there any concern if there was a concern and that was a recessed area and there was concern about water filling that or gas in there, what's to prevent the water and the gas just from sheet flowing off? And since you don't have that little sump area.
So that sump would be only for like emergency spills, is my understanding. That's not designed to capture any gas that just is just, incidental leakage when you're filling your tank.
Right.
This is kind of catastrophic backup is kind of what the sump is for, is my understanding.
Justin, you had your hand up?
I did, Madam Chairman, if I may ask a few questions to Dawn. Dawn, in the current standings, the way it is right now, if any fuel was to leak, how many total gallons could the existing hold versus taking the other two 900-gallon tanks and put it on your new proposed with your grooves? How many gallons could that contain?
Well, it would contain anything that leaked. It's like having a container within a container.
So I think, let me ask the question, all right, so you have, let's say you have 1,500 gallons between diesel and gas, and you have 750 gallon let go. I'm assuming the current tank's not gonna hold 750 gallons below the tank, right? The catch basin?
I think the question is, what's the volume storage of the sump area that's being proposed to be filled with concrete?
Oh, the
Correct.
sump area. Okay, got it. That
Yes.
is designed to hold the entire contents of
Right.
both fuel tanks. The
And
total.
then how about the volume? What would the volume be on the new proposed slab with your grooves?
Well, minimal. It is strictly for small spills. The containment, it's a double wall tank. So if there was a hole or a breach of the inner tank, the outer tank would contain everything that's within that fuel tank. So what we're looking at is a secondary containment.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other division within the city that has to look at such things for gas station, like, gas, do you know, Kyle?
I don't know offhand. I'm sure that there are other bodies within the city that kind of have some oversight over things like this, but I've not inquired. I imagine the building department has something to say about but I'm not exactly sure what those standards are, what the building code says about things like this.
I mean, I understand this is outside of our purview, but at the same time, I'd hate to say, okay, this is fine, but what if it's not? I really have no idea.
Yeah.
Because it is outside of our purview.
And Madam Chair, if I may again, I am sure that the weight and measures has to
Question?
check these tanks once or twice a year.
I'm sorry?
I am sure that weight and measures for the city has to go out and look at these tanks and confirm they're dispersing what they're supposed to be dispersing.
Mr. Lynch, do you know if, because it's a VA facility, do you know if the city would still go out?
I don't know if the city would still go out, but I do know that there are monthly inspections on this internally from the VA.
Okay.
I wanted to ask if the construction of the tank, is that something new that eliminates the need for the bathtub? Or was that standard, that bathtub standard years ago, and now it's not necessary because the newer construction of these gas tanks, eliminate the need for it?
Yes, if it was not a dual walled tank, you would definitely need it. But we do have the containment of the secondary shell of the fuel tank.
Is that different from the previous construction of the fuel tanks that were existing?
I can't really speak for generally speaking, other fuel tanks are underground. It's not real often that you have an above ground fuel tank.
Commissioner Curtis, this is a new construction, so there weren't existing tanks at this site.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I'm sorry. I think I mistook your question. Actually, there were some underground fuel tanks here that were removed and replaced with this.
Thank you.
Yes. But they were underground.
Well, this is a commission matter, but not for a vote, so I'm not sure, Kyle.
Yeah, so we were just hoping to get some guidance as to how the commission feels we should proceed with this.
Yeah.
Even if we don't necessarily say the applicant needs to file an amended order, we can take a month. And now that we've kind of seen this, and if there are specific information that the commission wants me to kind of look into, I can certainly do that before the next month's meeting. Or if the commission decides that this is something that we can just kind of write off on the certificate of compliance request, then that's also fine. We just need to kind of offer some guidance or decide on what additional information that we would like to know as the commission that I can work on before the April meeting.
Well, I'd like to know how long it takes to fill it and when is the optimal time to do it.
You mean as far as filling
Fill the bathtub?
with
Mhm.
concrete?
Yes.
Mr. Lynch may have something to say.
Well, this project is under construction right now, and the contractor is looking to do it as soon as possible.
And just to clarify the point, the tanks and that sump have already been installed per the approved design. They've noticed some issues with that, and they're looking to maybe just fill that void space with concrete now. So everything's already in place, is my understanding.
Yes.
When you said it
So
wasn't,
you wouldn't want to recommend to.
go ahead, Becky, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say we wouldn't recommend continue to the next month till it gets filled, or just issue it. You can check on it later in the month. Kyle?
I'm sorry, you kind of broke up there.
I know, this is a bad connection. I am having a hard time hearing all of you too. My question was, would we continue this to the next month to wait for the bathtub to be filled? Or would we issue a certificate of compliance with one of the conditions that it would be filled and that you would go out and check in a month or two
Yeah,
to see if that's been done?
sure. So they
The
are not.
second,
Yeah, so they're not yet applying for the certificate of compliance because the project, I mean, the tank is in place, but the whole site isn't constructed yet. So what they're looking to do
Mhm.
now is to get kind of to get the commission's approval to fill that void. They haven't done that
Oh,
yet,
okay.
and they won't do that until we offer them some guidance. And kind of the three options that we have to decide on tonight are they're okay to move forward tomorrow with filling that sump because we don't think it's a problem making that change. Option two is the middle ground where the commission has some additional information that they want the agent or you guys want to do a site visit or something like that where we can do some things before the April meeting. And then the third option is to say we really think this warrants a full kind of review, and we would like the applicant to apply for an amended order of conditions.
When you said, Kyle, before that it was outside of the purview, it still is within the 50-foot buffer
No,
zone.
it is. So
Yeah.
what I meant by
That's
that
a
is that
runoff.
the commission wasn't reviewing the fuel safety standards,
Right.
because there are regulations as to how you hold, how you can confine and maintain these structures and how you store fuel. Like when we did our review, that was not something that we considered at all. Outside of that comment, the beta said that they would like to see additional safety features included. And so this would be one of those safety features that we're kind of writing off if we decide to do that. By asking them to do an amended order, maybe at that point, the commission could ask for like an alternatives analysis. What other kind of safety features could be installed instead of the sump area? But that's kind of where we are, and we don't have to. We could take the next month to kind of explore those options, and Mr. Lynch could maybe get us a list of those. We don't have to go through the full formal review if you want to look at that. But if we were to adopt additional safety precautions instead of the sump, that would be something that we probably want to get formalized in an amended order of conditions.
Mhm. How difficult would it be to set up a site visit? Because I really wouldn't mind taking a quick look.
Sure, we can absolutely do that. Mr. Lynch, could I contact you? Would you be the point of contact for that?
It would not be me, but I could I could give you the information on who we
Sure.
arrange it through.
Okay, and I guess my final question, if we were to postpone this decision until the April meeting, would that be extremely detrimental to the construction schedule, or is it something that we can kind of address at any point before the completion of the project, now that everything else is kind of completed around the tank?
The former, yes, it would be detrimental to the construction schedule, but if that's what's necessary, then so be it.
Okay, thank you.
So does any commissioner questions, comments? Does anyone have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to do a site visit with you as well.
So perhaps we need a motion to continue.
I mean, this isn't really a hearing. We can just push this off until next month, and we can, in the meantime, we can arrange a site visit. That's perfectly fine.
Okay. If you could do that, Kyle, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll organize that for you. Yep.
Thank you.
So do we need to make a motion?
No, it's
to
not
pos-
it's just a commission matter. It's not a vote. It's not a
Okay,
live
Mhm.
filing. Thank you. Trying to determine if it should be a live filing, I guess. Yeah.
Right. Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lynch, thank you very much for your help.
Thank you. Appreciate your consideration.
Okay. The first new filing of the night is a request for determination of applicability. It's for MBTA right away for maintenance, vegetation maintenance and management. Number
Yeah,
7.
Madam Chair, I'm promoting Matt Donovan, who is the representative for this project. I promoted Matt to be a panelist, and I guess I'm going to let Matt kind of give his spiel. He's probably an old hand at this now. I think that they have several of these applications that they have for various cities around the state. But this is specifically with regard to the commuter line, the purple line. And Mr. Donovan has been promoted to panelist. I will let him take away through the chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
I
He's
think
still
that we may have dropped him. I don't see him on the panelist list, and I think
He
I
was-
don't see him in the attendees as well. So maybe he'll rejoin up here. So I guess I'll take over if that's all right, Madam Chair. All right, so this RDA is required by the commuter rail line. Every 5 years, they have to submit and get a new vegetative management plan approved. And part of that approval process is getting a determination from all of the various conservation commissions in which the line in question, moves through their town or municipality or city. So in this specific RDA, the commission has been asked to do two things. One, to confirm the maps that were submitted with the RDA, and we'll show those in a moment. And then the second thing was to confirm that the proposed work is exempt under certain languages that are in the Wetlands Protection Act. So to address those two things, first I'm going to jump to the second thing, and I have reviewed the relevant language in the Act. And this work is exempt, assuming that they meet all the other regulations and standards associated with the vegetation management plan that's kind of separate outside of the Wetlands Protection Act. So that bit is kind of already done, and we don't really need to worry too much about whether it's exempt, because it is. The thing that we're really looking at tonight is we want to confirm the maps that have been submitted as part of the RDA. There are 7 different maps, and they're arranged 1 through 7. Map 1 is at the north side of Brockton. Map 7 is at the south side, and they're just sequential, and they just follow the rail line as it goes north and south through the city of Brockton. Let's see. The maps that have been submitted to the commission are basically just kind of pulled off of the state mapped data layers that show wetlands and floodplains and things like that. So it's really just like the mass mapper data layers have been imported onto their maps. I've gone through as part of my review and confirmed that those maps look accurate as far as mass mapper goes. I have not walked the entire rail line. That's something that we could potentially do. But before we get to that point, I do want to make a comment and say that the maps that have been submitted this year are the same maps that the commission approved 5 years ago. So on this large scale, there might be some small scale fluctuations with a wetland line over the course of a 5-year period. But on the scale that we're kind of looking at here, I don't really anticipate there being significant changes. So all that is said, we can look at the maps here. I'm going to check and see if Mr. Donovan is back online. I don't see him. All right. Are there any questions as far as, I mean, I can show the maps, but I'm comfortable with recommending that the commission issue I think I'll have to look at my agent report, but there's a positive 2A determination confirming the map delineations, and then a -5 determination stating that the proposed work is exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act. I'll entertain questions from the commission at this point.
Commissioners?
I'm sorry, were you pulling the maps up or not, Kyle?
Yeah, I certainly can. Let me get those up for you.
Okay, thank
Well, it's interesting, the meeting a couple of months ago, there were some issues with maps not being accurate.
Just kind of talk through these maps very briefly. What you see here is the Avon town line at the north side. This is a color-coded map. The rail line is this set of parallel lines going kind of north-south, top to bottom through the page. They have various different like color coding that corresponds to different types of treatment based upon how sensitive that area is in terms of how close it is to protected resource areas. So each one, there's a key at the bottom of each of these maps, so we can look at what those mean. But in general, the yellow track here means that the standard procedure, this is all for herbicide application. So they're applying herbicides both to the rail line and like the riprap that constitutes the foundation of that rail line, and then also along the side to keep the side vegetation kind of at bay. So the area in yellow, you can see there's a lot of other colors happening here. That means there's a lot happening here with wetlands and open water bodies and things like that. This kind of pink thatched area means that this area is significant to drinking water, or groundwater. So anything that's within this area is yellow, meaning that there is no herbicide application in that area at all. They maintain this area by having a wetland specialist go out on site and make determinations on a plant by plant, case by case basis. And so this is the least amount of treatment. This yellow is the most restrictive as far as what's allowed in that area. This blue area, this light blue, is they are only applying the herbicides once per year. Areas farther down, where I'm just going to kind of scroll through several maps so we can kind of see some different things. This segment of the rail has no color coding, means they just do the standard application through this whole section. And it just kind of continues. We're just going south through the city now. This is a waterway. This is open water, and it crosses the rail line. So you'll see here there's a a section right around where the track goes over that water body that there are no herbicide applications permitted. But on either side, they have a less frequently applied area, kind of in the buffer area. There were some things that I noted, and I included this in my agent report on on maps 6 and 7. There are 2 areas that I noted that there seems to be an open water body that crosses the rail line, but didn't have that yellow area. And I spoke to Matt about this on Monday, and he said that this is pretty standard when there's uh, uh, like a culvert that conveys the water underneath the line. So there's no actual open water at this point on the rail line. So they have the limited application once yearly, but they don't have that yellow no herbicide applied at all because there's no open water. It's standard procedure for them if there is open water within 22 feet of either side of the line that they don't apply those herbicides in the area. That's a yellow area. And then this is another kind of a sensitive area as far as the water quality. It's used in drinking water or sensitive things like that. There's a couple other things here on map 6, or sorry, map 7 here, where there's some water conveyances that are also culverted, and so they don't have that no application treatment there. And yeah, and then this area at the very it's not even in Brockton, but in West Bridgewater, this dark navy is a more limited restriction of application time. So the light blue is once a year, and then the blue down here is only once every 2 years. So it's a little bit more restrictive. But yeah, these are the same maps that were approved last time. That would have been in 2000. So I'm comfortable issuing the determination, issuing a 2A, confirming a positive 2A, confirming the maps, and then a -5, which would state that the proposed work is exempt under the act. And this RDA would be valid for 5 years. So they would come back to the commission in 2030.
Commissioners, any comments or questions?
Oh, did you mean 2020, not 2000, when you said?
2030.
No, when he
Yeah,
mentioned the maps were from, you meant these ones are the ones from
I
2020, not
misspoke.
okay.
These are the maps that were confirmed in 2020. That is correct. 5 years ago, not 25 years ago.
Do you know if the maps that were confirmed in 2020 are those then based off of maps from 2015, or is there a review between the 2015 and 2020 maps?
I'm not sure when the last review was. A lot of these data layers are kind of based on. I'm not sure how often they're updated, but the maps that we have now are the same that were approved in 2020.
What kind of herbicide is being used?
I don't have the specifics on the specific chemical that's being applied. It may be buried in the narrative, but it's not something I remember offhand.
Don't recall seeing it.
And then just another comment, like they're under, they've got to apply these herbicides using best management practices as well. So there are a whole subset of regulations that they have to abide by in order to meet that exempt status. There are all sorts of regulations that they have to maintain and abide by to be considered an exempt activity.
And you mentioned
I
they
saw
already have gone or are going before other commissions.
Yeah, I think that's why Mr. Donovan had to leave a little early today. He had another commission that was meeting at 7:30 this evening. So I think he just probably, if it's not a technical issue, I think he just left because he's attending several of these.
I thought I heard mention their rain garden along the way.
I don't remember.
Sorry, I'm in the wrong
rain.
one, sorry.
It really was surprising to me to see how much wetland there really is along, along the way. And it's comforting to know that they take those different additional steps.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments, commissioners? I believe the public has an opportunity to speak. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak to this application?
If so, please raise your hand and I can promote you to panelist. I don't see any hands raised, Madam Chair.
Okay. So commissioners, does anyone have a motion for me, please? Oh, we would have to close the hearing first, correct?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Motion for that, please?
I make a motion to close the determination of applicability for MBTA right-of-way purple line.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Map I.
Talbot, aye.
And Voris, aye. That motion passes. And now there would be two motions, correct? One for the determination.
I think you can probably do it in one motion, but just it would include a positive 2A determination confirming the provided maps and a -5 determination confirming that the proposed work is exempt.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion to issue a positive 2A confirmation of the resource areas on the maps and a -5 determination that the areas are exempt under the Wetland Act.
I second that motion.
A motion's been made and seconded to issue a positive 2A determination and a -5 determination. Roll call vote, please.
Aye.
Green eye.
Map I.
Talbot, aye.
And Voris, aye. Okay, thank you. And thank you,
Thank you.
Kyle, for taking
of
us through that. Okay. Next item on the agenda, let's see, we have several continuances here. Oh, the next item on the agenda was not mentioned as a continuance. It's 82 Ames Street. Is anyone here for that, Riverhawk?
I don't see anyone from the representative or the applicant in the chat, and this is something that's just in the peer review process. So I don't anticipate any discussion tonight, Madam Chair.
Okay, entertain a motion, please, to continue.
Motion to continue current filings number 8.
And
Motion's been made and seconded to continue 82 Ames Street till the next meeting. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Map I.
Talbot, aye.
And Voris, aye. Okay, 9 and 10 were requested by the applicant. Number 11, 30 Intervale. With
I
Kim-
do see one of the representatives, Samantha Cripps. Samantha, I'm going to promote you just in case you wanted to discuss this with the commission, but this is another one of the projects that's actively being peer reviewed by one of the commission's consultants.
This is 30 Intervale, correct?
That is correct. Yep, 30 Intervale Street. So I've promoted Samantha. I'm not sure if she wants to speak to the commission tonight. Hello, Samantha.
Hi.
Hi.
You have Ed online tonight too. I'm not sure if you see him somewhere in the background.
Yeah, I've promoted Eddie Jacobs as well.
Uh-huh.
Hello, Mr. Jacobs. Hi.
Hi. Yep, Eddie Jacobs. We're in that same boat as everybody else, I guess, the peer review backlog. But we just wanted to show our faces and just let you know, give you a little update. The peer review requested to be able to go out on the site, and Samantha's been in touch with them, and they have visited the site. And I know the board requested Brad Holmes go out and refresh the flagging, which he had done. So we're we're just waiting now to hear back from the peer review, and so we can address their comments. Basically where we are.
Is there a specific turnaround time, Kyle, that those comments, that the,
I think that the contract that we have with all three of these firms does have turnaround time. I don't know what it is off the top of my head though.
Yeah, I know they went out to the site. Sammy, was it like maybe
It was last Wednesday.
last
Yep.
Wednesday? Yeah, so it was a week ago. So I'm sure they're writing up their comments now. Like I said, we just wanted to familiarize our faces with you guys because it's been a long time, you know, and we'll just ask for continuance to the next meeting and we'll see you then.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll have a chance to get the comments, the letter and address those and be all set for the next meeting.
were you comfortable with the site visit scripts?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, I think we can arrange something.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
So I don't think we have to make the motion, correct? If the applicant has just asked for that continue.
We may as well. I mean,
Before?
we had discussion. I think we ought to continue.
Okay, we'll move a motion, please, to continue 30 Intervale till next month.
I make a motion to continue 30 Intervale Street to April 16th meeting.
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Math, I.
Talbot, aye.
And Boris, aye. Thank you.
Okay, we'll
See
see
you
you
next
then.
month.
Thank you.
All goes well with the peer reviewer.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's see. 12 and 13 were both requested by the applicants. Number 14, 0 Hammond Street. Is anyone here for that? W Engineering?
Yeah, let me check I don't see anyone in the attendees that I recognize, but if anyone is here to speak to 0 Hammond Street applicant or representative, let me know. Please raise your hand. Otherwise, Madam Chair, I would recommend that we just continue this to the April meeting. This is, again, one of those that was kind of backlogged and is actively being reviewed. This was just funded a few days ago. So I think that we're ready to move forward with this one. It may have even been funded this morning or yesterday.
Good. Okay. So motion, please, to continue 0 Hammond Street to next month.
I'll make a motion to continue 0 Hammond Street till the April 16th meeting.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Math, I.
Talbot, aye.
And Boris, aye. Thank you. And I believe everything else, 15, 16, 17, and 18 are all continued. The last one to be heard this evening is request for a certificate of compliance, 710 Oak Street Car Wash.
Please, if you're here to speak to this project, please raise your hand and I can promote you. But just very briefly, Madam Chair, I can give you kind of a quick summary of this. This was submitted to the Commission for consideration, the request for certificate of compliance. I'm promoting David Clark to be a panelist. At the February meeting, we had that snowstorm the week before the meeting, so I wasn't really comfortable going out to the site and looking at the stormwater infrastructure and things like that with all the snow on the ground. So we continued the request to this month's meeting, so we could wait for the weather to improve. And since then, I had been able to get out to the site, do my site visit, and write up the agent report. Would you like me to outline that now, or do you want to let the applicant speak, Madam Chair?
I think the order is first the applicant's presentation.
Whatever you would like.
Hello, Mr. Clark.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you.
You wanted me to just give a narrative on?
Yes, absolutely. That would be lovely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gotcha. So I'm a little confused on the wording of the report. The latest plan set that we got that we thought was approved by the city does show that depressed area with the small berm that drains out into that jurisdictional wetlands in the back. So
Okay, perhaps, Mr. Clark, it would be best then if Mr. Holden, if Agent Holden did his report, and then we'd all be able to understand exactly your questions that way. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. Kyle, if you mind?
Yeah, sure. So in general, there are kind of two things here. So the thing that Mr. Clark alluded to is kind of the last thing we'll get to. So in general, the site looks like it's in pretty good shape. They've done a good job with the construction of the car wash. I didn't really see any problems with, I mean, everything within the limit of work that the commission approved looked good. So the only outstanding comments that I would like to see before the issuance of a certificate of compliance for this project would be there is some stabilization that still is required. It looks like they seeded the grassed areas in the fall, so there was some grass that had come up, but it wasn't a nice full mat. There were bare areas. So everything else aside, I would like to see some more time there to give the grass some more time to get established. There are some areas that may require reseeding as well. Additionally, the order of conditions requires that that conservation markers be installed upon along the approved limit of work, and those were not in place. But the big thing that's kind of going to hold this up is that when I was out at the site, I observed a lot of groundwork that had been done outside of the approved limit of work. So, Mr. Clark, just so you're aware, when we do the review for the Conservation Commission, we issue the order of conditions. And as part of that review process, and for this project in particular, we had Beta Group do the peer review for the commission. After, and they'll go through various rounds of review, right, where they'll issue comments. The applicant revises their plans to address those comments, and they can go back and forth several times. But at the end of that process, there's a plan of record. Like that's the last plan that everyone kind of agreed upon, and that's the plan that's referenced in the order of conditions, and that's the plan that we, the commission, are always going to be going back to and referencing that plan when we do the review for, in this case, the request for a certificate of compliance. So the plan of record for, and I'm saying this now so we can make sure that we're talking about the same plans, because you said there was a plan that you thought you had that was approved by the city, and that's what you were doing. So the plan of record that I have for the order of conditions is entitled Site Plan Set for a Proposed Car Wash located at 710 Oak Street, Lot 1-2, Brockton, MA 02301, prepared by Civil Design Group. It was, let's see, I'm looking for the dates now. One moment, bear with me. Looks like it was initially dated May 5, 2023, and the last revision date on the approved plan set is 7/28/2023. So that's the plan set that I'm referencing, and that's what I'm basing all of my comments off of.
Okay.
I guess before we go into that, may I, Madam Chair, kind of outline the concerns that I have, and then we can let the applicant's engineer kind of respond.
Would it be too much to see that site plan? Is it really cumbersome?
No,
I have it ready. I don't know if I can share my screen.
Yeah, you're able to.
All right. I don't see it. Oh, hello?
Hi.
Oh, share. No. I don't see where I can. Oh, I see it. Sorry. Got it. Okay, so I guess the first and obvious thing is I've got a later revision date.
There's nothing on our screen, Mr. Clark.
It's not showing up?
You have to double click, it says, to enter full screen mode. I don't know. It's just black on my end anyway.
Oh,
It's also black on
Right.
my end, and also it's for us if you want to double click to enter Zoom into full screen. I don't know on his end what he has to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about this.
What's the date on yours, Mr. Clark?
September 13th.
So may I just kind of nip this
Yes.
one here in the
Hold
bud,
on.
Madam Chair? So it appears that there were revisions done to the plan that were not approved by the commission, and so that's where the rub is here. Unfortunately, when we are doing a review for a certificate of compliance, we are referencing that plan that was approved as part of the order of conditions. If there are any subsequent revisions to that plan, theoretically, the applicant should have come back to the commission and either received an amended, applied for an amended order of conditions, or, like we talked about with the VA fueling station, is this a revision that really requires that amended order of conditions or not? So that's, I guess, kind of where we are. At this point, would you mind, Madam Chair, if I shared my screen and we reviewed the plan of record and I showed you some site photos that I took out at the site so we can kind of talk about what the concern is?
Yep, that would be fine. Thank you, Kyle. And I think that might elucidate things for Mr. Clark as well.
Sure. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Please let me know if you can see this.
Yes.
Okay. I think this is I'm looking at page 6. This is the grading and drainage plan.
Yep.
And again, so this is the plan of record, and the car wash here is in this portion of the lot. The entire lot for the property is actually this much larger trapezoid shape over here, and the car wash is only in a small section of the lot. So this is an existing parking lot that is remaining in place. And then this is a kind of a meadow grass kind of area, kind of weedy, that was kind of open before. This is where the car wash was installed. There's a retention basin down here. The limit of work is where the erosion controls were installed around the perimeter of the property, or of the work site rather. And that is this kind of dash line here. It goes up to this corner, cuts down here, and then circles around this portion here, which is where the dumpster goes. I like this map here because it also shows us the pre-existing elevations of the site. So that's what these kind of lines are through here, through the parking area. And this is kind of just the approved plan set. I'm going to pull up the
I'm sorry, very quickly, can you I can't see, it must be my old eyes, but do you have any idea what the elevation is right smack in the middle there?
You mean up right here?
Yeah.
That's 213.
Okay.
And it's fairly flat. This is the meadow area. I've got 213.1, 212, 213.9. So there might be a foot and a half of difference kind of across this meadow, but it's a fairly flat surface. I am going to pull up the as-built, and then we'll look at some site photos. So let's see. So here's the as-built, and I don't really have any problem with outside of the grass needs some more time to get established within like the confines of the area that the work was done around the car wash, as far as like work that was done within the limit of work. But the thing that I noted when I was out on the site is that this site, this portion of the site, this meadow, has had significant grading changes. A lot of fill has been added. The topography of the site, this meadow has been altered significantly, including you'll see here. This is kind of there are two swales up against the wooded lot line here, there's like a water conveyance, almost like a channel that's been dug through here that is looks like it's designed to deposit any runoff from this portion of the property into the wetland, which is kind of back behind the car wash over here. And so this modification was not reviewed or approved by the commission, does not approve on the plan, does not appear on the plan of record. So if there were plan revisions after the order of conditions was issued, The commission never reviewed that and never approved this work. So this work is in violation of the order of conditions. I've got some site photos that I can share as well, just to kind of give you a better idea of what things are looking like out there. Let's see. So these are shots, photos of the site before the car wash was installed. This is that existing kind of a square portion of asphalt. The car wash was installed in this portion of the site over here to the right of the screen, and then kind of straight ahead behind this woman in the with the cart is kind of that meadow that wasn't supposed to be disturbed as far as our plan of record goes. And I included the shots because you can kind of basically see it's more or less flat all the way over to the tree line. This is another shot of that same kind of area. And this is that meadow that was not to be disturbed as far as the approved plan set. And the car wash is kind of installed back behind where the camera is, over like the right shoulder of whoever is holding this camera, right? But again, this just kind of shows that this is a fairly straight, flat meadow all the way over to the wood line. These are photos that I took out at the site a week and a half ago. So you can see here, there's a berm that's been installed here, and there's a secondary berm here. I didn't measure, but like my estimate is that this berm is 5 to 6 feet tall. This smaller berm here is like 3 feet ish. And I'm going to kind of keep flipping through some of these photos. I'm standing on the asphalt now, kind of looking back. Obviously, the car wash is over here. But you can see now that where this used to be a very flat meadow, there's a lot of material that's been added here and built up like a berm over here along the wood line. This is just another shot of the berms. And then this is the real concern that I've got is that there's this channel that seems to be conveying water when there's heavy rains or flooding back into the wetland area, which is back over behind these rocks. These rocks also were not on the approved plan of record. The final shot that I've got here is the kind of the back of the site. You can see there's this curbing here. This is where the garbage bins are. We've got a couple light posts here and a couple trees that were installed. Going briefly back to this is the plan of record. From that photo that we were just looking at, I was kind of standing around this portion, looking basically directly down the back of this where the curbing would be. And you can see there are some lights here. So I guess the point is, you can see that the limit of work as approved on the plan of record is just several feet behind where that curbing was installed, whereas we have obvious disturbance, several dozens of feet back into where the wetlands just behind these rocks here. So anything kind of behind probably where these trees had been planted is also beyond the approved limit of work. So that's the concern. There was a lot of work that was done outside of what the commission had expected based upon the plans that they had approved. We never received word from the applicant at any point in the process that they were doing work beyond the limit of work, which was marked by those erosion controls that were installed. Obviously, they're not installed anymore. At the pre-construction meeting, I walked the perimeter and confirmed that those erosion controls were in place and in approximately the right location. So I'm not sure at what point work was done beyond that limit of work, but it's clear that work has been done. The big concern is that I'm going to go back to the so here's the site plan. This is the approved site plan. You can see a majority of the area that's been disturbed is not within jurisdiction. It's outside of the 100-foot buffer zone, which is this line here. But the concern is with that channel that's been installed, really any water that's collecting through, and keep in mind, like to the north above this shot that we're seeing is the entire parking lot for Walmart. It's got drainage in there. There are catch basins and things there. But any water that sheet flows off that parking lot at Walmart or sheet flows off this portion of the parking lot and ends up here, will be conveyed down directly into that wetland. And that stormwater management was never reviewed by the commission, even though we did review the project for stormwater compliance for the stormwater standards. We only reviewed the work that was proposed and approved within the limit of work, just within this portion of the site. I don't know if you guys remember, but as we were reviewing this project, there was quite a bit of back and forth between Beta and the applicant, trying to make sure that this basin would meet the performance standards. And now we have just kind of unpermitted, outlet into the wetland, and I'm not sure what capacity that's designed. If it is designed, if it doesn't meet the standards, does it not meet the standards? We just don't know. So at this point, I'm not recommending that the commission issue the certificate of compliance due to the unpermitted changes beyond the limit of work. And then, in addition to that, the commission needs to decide how we want to approach and rectify this situation. So, yes, Madam Chair, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just have a very quick question.
Hmm?
Can you place on this map the approximate location of those boulders?
So I've got the as-built. Let me pull that up. Those appear on the as-built here. The problem is the as-built doesn't have the buffer zones on it, so it would
Oh,
be beneficial if we had a
it looked like it
plan
was
that-
within the 50 from the one prior to that, or within the
Yeah,
20.
I can flip back and forth. You can kind of see.
Really close to look where the 25 is.
It looks like, yeah, and I've kind of done this a little bit, but it looks like those are right around the 25-foot
Okay.
area. But again, we don't have that. But
Okay.
that conveyance is certainly within the buffer zone.
Yeah.
And as we can kind of see, I'm going to flip back to the as-built here. The 50-foot or the 100-foot, it kind of goes kind of right through here. So again, a lot of that fill is placed outside of the buffer zone. So like that's not a problem in and of itself, but it's the fact that this is appears to be designed to convey any water that collects here through this channel into the wetland, and that's the concern. So in my agent report, I recommended potentially two different solutions that the commission could consider. One being that the applicant, because this does look like it was designed on some level. If the applicant thinks that this meets the performance standards, they can provide documentation to the commission that this modification does meet local and state stormwater standards. If that's something they think they can demonstrate, at that point, the commission can have one of their third-party consultants review that and confirm compliance with those standards. And if these modifications, these alterations that were unpermitted do meet performance standards, then the commission could issue or either require them to file an amended order of conditions or a new notice of intent for the work on this portion of the site. And then after all that was resolved, at that point they could come back and apply for a request a certificate of compliance for the car wash. The second option is, excuse me, we have the existing conditions map, which is here. This is part of the approved plan set and has elevations. The commission could require that basically everything that's outside of, excuse me, of the limit of work that was approved be returned back to its original conditions as depicted here on this existing conditions plan, which is obviously the car wash wasn't existing, but the elevations outside of the limit of work are the existing conditions. Commission could require that all these areas that are outside of the limit of work be just returned to existing or pre-existing conditions, and then all this area would be seeded with some sort of conservation mix just to stabilize it, because right now it's very bare. So that's kind of where we are. If Mr. Clark wants to speak to this through the chair, I'm sure he'd like to have an opportunity to speak to this.
So that would entail then submitting a remediation plan. Is that correct? Would it still?
Yeah, we would want to have something there. We would need more erosion controls at minimum put in before we do any more, grading and earthwork around there. And then, but yeah, so that's kind of where we are. Because this work was, done outside of the limit of work, I think an enforcement order is, something that I would recommend. So we can issue that this month. We can talk about it obviously first and kind of figure out what we want to how we want to manage this. But this is significant enough that I think an enforcement order is warranted.
Mr. Clark?
Yeah, no, I understand. I don't know where it went south as far as the permitting went. I'm the general contractor working on the project. I'm certainly going to reach out to the owner and engineer who I thought was going to be involved in this, but so I'll definitely find out, why I had received as part of my building set, a plan that wasn't approved, by your commission. We'll certainly do whatever it takes. It is a designed it on our plan. It says it's a peer reviewed planning board. It's got let me see the revision was to respond to peer review comments and planning board conditions. So not to make an excuse, and you're going to do what you got to do as far as putting an order out there. But I think we can hopefully get the engineer to show why that was designed like that. That was a rather large addition of work for us. So I certainly wouldn't have endeavored to do that if it wasn't the case. And just so you know, really the boulders were not part of that design. We were having a lot of problems on that site with trucks backing down and dumping on that site. It's a pretty notorious dump site up there. We had to remove quite a bit of materials that we weren't planning on running into up there. So that was the purpose of the rocks, because people were backing all the way up to the wetlands back there.
Yeah, and on that note, if you don't mind me interrupting, I did speak to Cody about the condition and the order of conditions that requires those conservation markers.
Yeah.
And he was inquiring about what that would actually be, what type of markers, and because there have been issues with the dumping on this site, maybe once we get the rest of this other unpermitted work problem resolved, I think something like those rocks might be the best option there, just to, as you say, to prevent people from backing up there. And I don't know if the commission noticed, but on some of the photos of that larger kind of open lot area outside of the car wash area, there are a series of rocks that were installed there up against the parking lot of the Walmart parking lot. I'm sure for the same reason, right? To stop people from accessing that. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. But again, I'm just noting that was kind of beyond the limit of work that was approved by the commission.
Yep. Now, just even if it's just at our risk, is it okay if we were to hydroseed that area, before we, I'd rather do it now while it's have a chance to get going, or is that, even if it's at our risk, it's not that expensive to do it, but I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we would probably throw at the commission. My kind of thought is, it is bare now. It'd be better to have it seeded to something in the interim, even if ultimately the commission requires all that area to be restored. That might be 2 or 3 months before we even have a determination based upon discussion with the engineer and everything like that. So my thought is, yeah, absolutely seed it, stabilize the area as best you can now, and then we can always move forward and resolve this however we decide to do that. And if you don't mind, Madam Chair, I'm just going to read from my report, because that did seem to be a designed feature rather than just like, oh, we'll throw some piles of dirt over here. If it is something that has been designed to meet the standards, really all the commission would require is that the applicant demonstrate that to the commission, and we can have that review done, and then we can do a new notice of intent filing probably. So in my language that we will draft the enforcement order, assuming the commission wants to issue an enforcement order, I did leave it open to either demonstrate compliance, which is option one, and then do an after the fact filing, or the restoration to the existing conditions, depending on really how the applicant wants to move forward with this. Because it's really, if they think they can demonstrate that compliance, there's no real need for us to require that they pull that out and then just for them to want to come back to us in a year and do a new notice of intent and get that work done and put it back exactly as it is now. So that was kind of my thought. Ultimately, this will be up to the commission if you want to issue an enforcement order and what that order requires. But those are my recommendations.
And if I can also add that we probably should at least put some sort of either sock or silt fence across that depressed area that leads to the swamp. So as we're hydroseeding and if we get heavy rains, I'd like to get that out there as well.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to have any arguments from anyone here about additional erosion controls. That's one thing that I have not included here on my draft kind of enforcement order. But that is something that could be considered by the commission is to at least within the 100-foot buffer zone, have the applicant install new erosion controls at the limit of disturbance. So basically, between the non-disturbed areas and where they've added the fill back behind those rocks, just to kind of, keep all the undisturbed areas undisturbed, and we'll deal with the rest of it as we go forward.
Commissioners, any questions at all or comments? Additional?
Was there that much water on the property that you needed to dig a trench? Is the stormwater controls not working?
No, I am, and I'm not 100% sure because I wasn't part of the design on it. But from what I understand, it was Walmart wanted to prevent the buildup of mud in that lot, so they made a depressed area. He says fill, but it's actually was lowered from the pre-existing grades. So I think it was more to, get it to leach into the ground before it got way out to the back. Like I said, they had a lot of tractor trailers parked there at night, and some of them would drive across that area as well. So it was getting messy, and I think this is kind of their way to prevent people from driving back there by making a little depressed area. And I'm not sure of the intent, but to me, having seen the existing conditions and how it is now, as long as that grass grows, I think it would look better. But it was kind of rugged out there as it was. We certainly didn't have to import those boulders that you see in the back. There was plenty of them around.
We definitely want to make sure, though, that there isn't extra, water that's sheet flowing into the wetlands, certainly, So having somebody, evaluate that for stormwater, I think is essential. Kyle, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm what Mr. Clark just said there. By the fill added, I was really referring to the berms along the wood line. But if you look at the as-built compared to the existing conditions, it does look like that area, the flat area, in which comprises most of that meadow area, has been, as Mr. Clark mentioned, lowered slightly. So there is less, there's more capacity to store water there, but also to convey any of that water directly into that wetland resource area.
And I've been trying to send you the plan that I have. Unfortunately, I think your Zoom prevents me from my email operating properly. I don't know, maybe it isn't it, but I'll email you the plan that I got, just so you can see what I mean.
No, that would be helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So, commission, you feel comfortable denying this?
I have another question.
Oh,
For
go
the
ahead.
water runoff, is it a Walmart problem or is it a car wash problem? The water.
Well, it's the water is coming from the Walmart parking lot. However, and I'm not sure if it's a lease agreement or an outright buy. I believe the owner, Chris Fazio, bought the property. However, Walmart wanted an easement. In fact, we own, or some of those parking spots, paved parking spots, are part of the car wash property, but have a parking easement with Walmart. Walmart had put in that purchase and sales agreement that we would keep those parking spots, but basically it's on our property. So the water's going to be a mix of both Walmart and apparently Chris Fazio's property in that corner. But Chris, I'm quite certain
I
the
think a
owner
peer
did not
review.
request that depression. That was from Walmart.
Mm. Mm. So definitely we're gonna need a peer review to see what's needed to restore.
I think the first order would be to deny the certificate of compliance, right? There's just too much right now that we can't very well issue a certificate of compliance.
That would be my recommendation, Madam Chair.
So I entertain a motion, please, to deny the request for the certificate of compliance for 710 Oak Street.
I make a motion to deny the certificate of compliance for 710 Oak Street.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, aye.
Green, aye.
Map I.
Talbot, aye.
And Voris, aye. Okay. And then I believe an enforcement order would be necessary.
That would also be my recommendation, Madam Chair.
Commissioners?
Okay, I make a motion for enforcement with the conditions that Kyle has outlined and for 710 Oak Street.
And just one addition there, Commissioner Curtis. I'll include language to add additional and new erosion controls within the 100-foot buffer zone at the limit of disturbance.
All right, please add that to the denial certificate, please.
Within the enforcement order, commissioners, do you think it would be worthwhile to do the stormwater standards option? Because Kyle had stated two options, either one, taking everything back to, regrading everything to the original elevations and everything, or
I think that's going to add more disturbance to the area, and we don't want that, especially since we have water running directly into the wetlands. It's better to probably reseed it at this point and stop or sop up something, because we don't know what's running into the wetlands from the parking lot from Walmart. Is it oil from the trucks? Is it, salt or sand from plowing? Things like that.
Wouldn't all of that be determined if there was a stormwater, Mr. Stormwater, Kyle? Would that be all determined if there was a stormwater review, a peer review?
Well, so yeah, my thought was we would give the applicant the option of doing either of those things. So if they think that they've designed this already, because they have engineers on the project, if they think that they've already met the standards and all they have to do is demonstrate that compliance, then do an additional filing. They might choose that route to demonstrate that they are in compliance with the Wetlands Protection Act. They also might decide that they don't want to do that, and they would just be easier just to wash their hands of this and return it to the existing conditions. I think either of those results would be fine as far as resolving this issue. We can word the enforcement order to give them those options. You can either do option A or do option B. But either one of them needs to happen, but the applicant can choose. Commissioner Green has her hand raised.
I would also add for the enforcement order, the seeding of what is disturbed right now. That way, by the time a decision gets made, it has a chance to kind of stabilize. Also, are we going to require an enforcement order that the applicant attends the next meeting? I mean, I guess that's kind of implied if they would like to come and tell us. why they did those changes, I guess, but
we can certainly require that they come to the next meeting and kind of give us what how they want to proceed, because I think that's an important piece of this, right? Like, have they chosen option A or option B? Do you want to try to prove compliance with stormwater standards, or are you intending to just, kind of put everything back to the existing conditions and seed everything? So, I don't see a problem with that either.
Commissioners?
I believe we have a motion, Madam Chair, to issue the enforcement order with language outlined in the agent report with all of the three additional kind of conditions that we discussed, which is installation of erosion controls at the limit of disturbance within the 100-foot buffer zone, seeding of the disturbed area as soon as possible, so we stabilize the area that is actively and currently will be conveying water into the wetland, and then requiring that the applicant or the representative attend the next meeting and inform the commission what route that they choose to pursue to rectify this enforcement order.
Would conservation markers also be part of it, or that will be held until the certificate of compliance was?
Yeah, in short, yes, we should have conservation markers of some sort out there. Where that is, it doesn't make much sense. I mean, well, I just don't know what we're going to be doing yet. But I do think that we can include language that at the end of this process that conservation markers be installed like at the commission's discretion, before we wrap up the enforcement order.
Sounds fine. And you'll be able to get the enforcement order out this week, or do you think?
Maybe not this week, but I'll certainly by midweek next week.
Do I need to remake my motion?
I think the motion was fine. Is there a second?
I second the motion with all those changes we have discussed.
Okay, so that the motion is to issue an enforcement order with recommendations that are in the agent's report, correct? And everything else that was discussed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, aye.
Green, aye.
Map I.
Bob and I.
And Forsyth. Okay, so you'll get the enforcement order out next week, and Mr. Clark, you'll get a copy of the most current plans to Kyle, and we'll see what happens from there. And hopefully
Sounds good.
All
right.
All right,
I appreciate the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Yep.
Okay, where are we now? We are on violation discussions. 0 West Chestnut Street.
Yes, Madam Chair. I've got kind of an update. Where we left things last month is the commission still hadn't received the requested narrative and as-built for the property. This is a site that has an active order of conditions for the construction of a wetland crossing. And at the beginning of the year, I noted some deviations from the approved plan of record. Specifically, there was an outlet pipe installed in the wing wall of the wetland crossing. And so we requested in a letter of a notice of violation letter on the 6th of January, we requested that the applicant develop an as-built for the commission, an accurate as-built of the current site conditions, along with a narrative describing all the work that's been done at the site to date. Frank Gallagher, the engineer of the project, is in the chat with us tonight. I've already promoted him. He's here to kind of speak to the commission on behalf of the applicant. But I do just want to mention that we did receive, I sent a follow-up letter, I guess, following last month's meeting, just kind of re-requesting those things. We have received those documents, and we can review them tonight. And then ultimately, the reason the commission was requesting this information was to determine if a violation has occurred. And so that's still the question that the commission should be asking itself. And then if there is a violation, then we can address that violation. But right now we're kind of in a fact-finding mode, trying to determine what has happened here. So, Madam Chair, would you like me to walk through the narrative and the submitted as-built now?
Yeah, that'd be fine. And then we can hear from Mr. Gallagher. Hello, Mr. Gallagher. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
All right, that's fine. I'll open up the this is the submitted as-built and the project narrative. So, let's see here. All right, so you know, in the letter of violation, notice of violation letter, you know, this is a long, it's a long, physically a long site. The wetland delineation, the wetlands are kind of at the I guess I'm not even sure what cardinal direction this is. It looks like the south portion of the site. So the wetlands are all the way over here. Again, this is the as-built that was submitted to the commission here. So the order of conditions for the work that was done was for the installation of a wetland crossing, which is what you see here. And then because there was direct impact on the wetland resource area, there is a wetland replication area over in this portion of the site that has been planted, and the wetland crossing has been installed. The pipe that I noticed when I was out doing the site visit is on this portion of the wing wall of the wetland crossing, and that does not appear on the as-built plan here. So when we sent out our letter of notice of violation, or our, I guess the notice of violation letter, I asked, the applicant and Frank is the engineer on the project to kind of give special attention to that pipe and what that pipe is connected to, if anything. And just kind of give us a rundown of why that pipe was installed and things like that. So I'm going to let Frank speak here in a moment, but the as-built that was submitted does not include the pipe. I guess I can show some photos of the pipe that I took when I was out on the site. So these were taken on January 3rd of this year, 2025. This is the wetland replication area. Obviously, you can see some standing water back over here, but this has been seeded, and there are some, trees and things that have been planted through here. It's another shot of the wetland replication. This is the pipe in question. So there's a pipe here. There's some riprap outside the pipe, and then this is in that wing wall. And this is just another shot. The pipe is here, and that's the wing wall. This is the box culvert. Yeah, so I guess that's really it. So the pipe's there. This is the wetland crossing, looking back towards West Chestnut Street all the way over here.
Is the box culvert under the crossing?
Yeah, so the box culvert connects, the left side of this image to the right side of the image. So anyway, the commission's concern is what is this pipe? What's this pipe connected to? Why was this pipe installed? Because it did not appear on the plan of record. So that's kind of where we are now. If through the chair, Madam Chair, I guess I'll throw it back to you, and you can ask questions of myself or Mr. Gallagher.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes. Yes. Well, let me just, I should say, before I start, I'm out of state, and so I'm not in my office. I don't have access to anything that relates to this. But I know at Kyle's request and at the commission's request, I guess I did do this as-built. It's, I guess, my fault that pipe wasn't shown. I guess maybe I didn't give enough attention to detail on that, but I have call, spoken to the contractor who did do this work. And right now, as it stands, that pipe is not connected to anything. It's just basically there's a stub of pipe that goes through the wing wall, and that's it. It's buried. It's not connected to any kind of a stormwater system at this point. As to why it's there, and I'm working from my own recollection of when this was approved. Initially it was approved as an access to a larger subdivision that was being proposed across the town line into West Bridgewater. And the plan was to bring the stormwater from that area that you see to the larger subdivision, and then eventually to a discharge point. But all we were showing was the work in Brockton, and we were showing a pipe that would cross the line into West Bridgewater. And it's my recollection that as we were finishing up with the commission, the peer review pointed out that we couldn't discharge stormwater from Brockton into West Bridgewater. So that was, I think, a last minute revision to just discharge the stormwater that was from Brockton into Brockton. In other words, keep it in Brockton. And again, I don't have access to any of my records right now because I'm in a different location, but that's how I recall that it was done. And that's why you see it where it is. But at this point, it's not discharging any stormwater. It's not connected to any kind of a system. And what I showed was just a partial, but it represents what's been done at this point. And I think what's been done at this point, other than that pipe, is pretty much in compliance with what the commission approved. The filling and the culvert, the wing walls that go on either side of the road, all of that's really spot on as far as its locations and elevations, and it jibes with the plan really very closely. And then the replication area has also been completed at this point. The plantings have all been done, and the area has all been stabilized. So those aspects of it are really, really in compliance with what the commission approved. The issue of, as Kyle said, I think the issue of that stormwater pipe is what I guess we need to deal with.
Well, I think it's important to see where it is relative to where the wetlands are.
Yeah. And, I'll be back in my office on Friday, and I could add that to the plan and get a revision over to you within a couple of days.
Kyle?
No, I think that would be great, Frank, if you could do that. And then do you know how, how long that the existing pipe is? Is this like a 12-foot length, a 6-foot length of pipe that is currently installed, or do you know the length of that pipe?
I don't, but I can find it. I spoke to the contractor who installed it, and he told me that he has he has like a witness stake at the end of that pipe,
Okay.
which I just missed it when I was out in the field doing the as-built work. But I can get back over there and locate that. I think it might be 2 lengths of pipe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, no, I think that would be information that we would like to have, and then have that included on the as-built. And then once we receive the as-built with the length of that pipe, I can go out there and poke at it and see if I if that seems right.
Yeah.
I don't disagree, Frank. I mean, I know that you haven't really installed the roadway there. There are no like catch basins or anything that have been installed. So like, I don't know what the pipe would be connected to anyway. But I think at this point, the commission just wants to confirm that that pipe isn't connected to anything. And then, having that pipe installed when it's not connected to anything isn't necessarily a violation. This is just a modification of the approved plan set. If it's not discharging into the wetland, if it's never hooked up, it's just effectively, a long brick that's not doing anything.
Right.
And I understand the reasoning that you would install that while you're building putting that wing wall in. You don't want to down the line, assuming you do get approval to move forward with the project, to have to tear the wing wall down to install the pipe. It's easier to do that while you're doing it. So, I guess this is a long-winded way of saying that there isn't necessarily a violation here with the addition of the pipe. So, the commission is just trying to determine if there is a violation. So at this point, if you are able to get us that, an updated as-built by the next meeting, I think that's I think that's that's the next step that we really need.
I will, and honestly, I do apologize for not picking it up.
Excuse
I was out there.
Mr. Gallagher, just out of curiosity, is there any motion to go forward with the subdivision?
Boy, there's a lot of history to this, and been a lot of kind of a lot of wrangling back and forth over how to proceed on this. And the larger subdivision that this was going to be a part of was really in West Bridgewater, and to be honest, that subdivision was heard and by the West Bridgewater Planning Board, and it was denied by them. So as far as what's going to happen in the future, I mean, I don't know. The applicant, the owner of that property is still, would still like to develop it, honestly. And there's still, they haven't given up on it. At this point, they just don't really know what's going to happen there.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any questions? No?
I would like to know if there are future plans for that pipe. Since you don't have your plans with you, you probably have some discussion in your files about what the purpose of, because obviously you're not going to pay money and extra work in order to install a pipe that does nothing. So I'm sure there might be some future plan for it, right?
Yeah. There would be a future plan. Like I said, the owner of the property would like to develop, and he's had a few plans in front of both the West Bridgewater Planning Board and the Brockton Planning Board to try to develop. But as of now, he has no approval from either of them to do that.
Okay.
We did have an approval, or at least, well, we have an approval from your commission to do what you can see on our plan. But that's the only approval that we have at this point.
Okay. So Kyle? You're muted.
Yeah, thank you for that, Madam Chair. I was muted. Yeah, I know that this has been a project that's been ongoing for a very long time, Frank. If you could just help me clarify something here. I'm going to pull up the plan of record. And I'm going to share that. So this is the plan that was originally reviewed and approved by the commission, like in 2017 when this was first reviewed. So at this point, Frank, I know that you do have catch basins on this plan. Obviously, they haven't been installed, and they won't be installed until and unless you get planning board approval to install a constructed roadway. Is that correct?
Well, it may, I would say, well, there's some dispute about that. Let me put it. This roadway that's, as it's laid out and shown on this plan, actually received an approval under the city's site plan review process. It didn't receive an approval under the subdivision process, but it was submitted as an access road under and reviewed under site plan approval, and it did receive an approval by the planning board, but not as a subdivision, just as site plan approval.
So let me rephrase that. At the current standing, you are not permitted to install a roadway here. Is that correct?
Well, I'm going to speak just as the engineer. There's a legal argument that I'm not prepared to make.
Sure, and I don't want to put you on the spot necessarily. Yeah. I guess what I'm really trying to get to here, Frank, is the original plan of record that we're looking at now that was approved by the commission does include catch basins. Like you would not install the catch basins unless there was like a paved roadway generally, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I mean, I know before all this kind of came to light at the beginning of the year, there was talk about you, the applicant or the applicant's representative, applying for a certificate of compliance for the work that's been done. And I guess my question is, what I'm ultimately trying to get at here is the only work that you're planning on doing under this order of conditions is the crossing that's already done and the replication area. And then the roadway that's on this plan isn't moving forward currently. Is that correct?
Well, the applicant isn't, I don't believe, is part of this hearing. But I think if he was, he would say, well, we have a site plan approval from the city to build this road and to install these utilities. So I think he would maintain that he has the approvals in place to completely construct what's shown on this plan.
Okay, so I don't want to, neither one of us are lawyers here, but I do want to just note that this is, again, this is the plan of record that's associated with the order of conditions from 2017.
Right.
The stormwater features that are on this map didn't match the stormwater features that were on the most recent revised plan set that you had before the Brockton Planning Board. That may have been, I don't know if that was the January or February meeting.
Right.
But those stormwater features have been changed.
Yeah.
And then with the addition of the pipe that we're discussing previously, all of that together is kind of implying that the stormwater management has changed from this plan, which is the 2017 plan. So I would my statement is, if you move forward with any of the stormwater management at all, and it's not exactly what's on this plan, you will need to come back to the commission and get either an amended order of condition or a new notice of intent filing approving any of that stormwater work.
I understand.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you. That was a long way to get there, but that's kind of the takeaway there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher, for helping us out tonight.
Okay,
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
all right. Good night.
Madam Chair, there are several members of the nearby
Oh,
community that have their hands
Yes.
raised that I think want to speak to this project.
Okay, that's fine. Perhaps Mr. Gallagher, too bad well,
Yeah, I think he's gone.
oops. I wasn't sure since it wasn't really a public hearing.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't see the hands up just until a few minutes.
right.
later.
I don't think that you're required to allow the public to speak, but it's,
of
they're here.
course,
They've
course.
sat through the whole meeting,
Certainly have. So you're promoting Peter and Linda?
I certainly can if you're ready, Madam Chair.
It's fine.
Okay, I think I saw Linda's hand first, so I'm going to promote her. And then after she's finished, Peter, I will promote you. All right, Linda, I've promoted you to panelist. Please identify yourself, name, and a kind of association with the project.
You're muted, Linda?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Linda.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hi. Peter and I are in the same room, so you don't need to hear from both of us. I just want to reiterate one point. I feel Mr. Gallagher is misrepresenting the applicant's position in that he is omitting some information about that original 2017 approval. And I know that ultimately this will go to the planning board, but you've asked some very good questions, and he's unable to answer them, I understand. But I just want to once again reiterate that the originally approved road was almost immediately retracted by the city solicitor within a couple of days, I believe, back in 2020. I don't even remember, 2021, I think, because of the fact that the planning board cannot approve a roadway that exceeds 700 feet. And the drawing that you're looking at, from my memory, they had a cul-de-sac that was approved, not that roadway directly to the West Bridgewater line. So we've seen different plans at different meetings on, West Bridgewater versus Brockton. But I just want to point that out, that not all of what he says is, I believe, untrue, but I believe that there are some important points that were omitted from that, which can easily be supplemented by, prior meeting information. And what he said about West Bridgewater is correct. Once again, they're watching this meeting as well, and they've not approved, nor do they have an intent to approve that project that this road would tie into. So I guess the question is, why do they need this road at this point?
And they have actually no approval currently.
Right, because they have no approval from either side
And they went back
after
before
the legal
planning-
litigation that took place, 2 years ago. So
And they went back before the planning board again to try to get it.
thank you very much for hearing me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, so Peter was with Linda there, but we have another a person that has their hand raised, Pat Jacobson.
I see Peter still has his hand raised on this list.
Yeah, I think that Peter, I'm
Peter,
going
just
to
in the
lower
same
your
row.
hand.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's right. Thank you.
But Peter, if you do want to speak later, please raise your hand again. I've promoted Pat Jacobson, Madam Chair.
Hello?
Hi, Pat.
Hi, Pat Jacobson. I live at 26 Alexandra's Road, which is next to this project. I'm a trustee of the Homeowners Association at Chestnut Woods, 27 homes, over 55 development. So we've been following pretty closely, and I don't want to go over the same material, but just to reiterate that this is a long process. My sense is the road has never been approved. So, but although they continue to work down there, and there seems to be gravel all over the place, and for all the world, it looks as if they're intending to build a road down there. And my the other thing I would check with the planning board, I believe they withdrew the last plan they submitted, which was for, I believe, 2 house lots in Brockton was the last plan that was in front of the planning board, and the applicant, because the road was never approved, withdrew that application for a subdivision. So I don't think there's anything really pending at the moment, as near as I can recall. But I did want to thank you folks for staying on top of this, and I would certainly trust Mr. Gallagher, but sort of verify anything that he's been told, because there's been a great deal of misinformation. So I would thank you again. Appreciate the time and you guys listening.
Thank you.
And just to echo what Pat said there, I was in attendance at the last planning board meeting where this was discussed, and that was my recollection as well, that nothing at this point is currently approved by the planning board to move forward.
So are the orders of condition, are they valid forever until?
No, they are not valid forever. Generally, an order of conditions is only valid for 3 years. This is a very particular case, and I don't have all the details right in front of me now, but through various extensions, I think the commission issued an extension themselves, and then there was the COVID-19 extension, and then the most recent extension that the governor signed in November of 2024. This is active. This is an active order of conditions currently.
Okay, because I noticed that there was an extension from 17 to 22, and then okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Nothing else?
Not for this agenda item.
Okay, Country Club Lane, please. That's, I think, our last item on the agenda.
Yeah, this is mostly an update for the commission. This is a site that I think we're all familiar with. The commission issued an enforcement order on October 31 of 2024. This is the property that the commission did issue an order of conditions for the construction of this home. In like 2017 or 2018, the home was constructed, and basically the lot had existing wetlands on it, and the proposed footprint of the home would encroach upon those wetlands. So there was a wetland replication that was required on site. So basically, when the home was constructed, between the existing wetlands and the wetland replication that was required to build the home there basically was no backyard. Anything beyond the actual footprint of the building in the back of the house was wetland area. And the current homeowner began doing some work back there, some clearing, vegetation clearing, some slight grading. And so we issued an enforcement order requiring them to stop all work and then restore it. Basically, how the conditions were approved under the order of conditions, because in that order of conditions, it had the limit of the existing wetland and the wetland replication areas and what was planted in the wetland replication areas. So the commission is just requiring that the property owner restore things basically to how they were when that order of conditions was issued and approved. For the construction of the home. Initially, the property owner was willing to work with the commission, and then we had a deadline for them for February 5 to submit a restoration plan for the commission's approval. Halfway through that process, they decided that they didn't want to work with the commission and they were going to appeal the issuance of the enforcement order. So things kind of stagnated out until early February. I believe they had a meeting with their ward counselor. And after that meeting, the property owners decided that it was probably in their best interest to work with the commission rather than to try to fight the issuance of the enforcement order. So I've been in communication with them since that February deadline has passed. And I actually met with them in person last week, and we reviewed the order of conditions, or not the order of conditions, the enforcement order, And I kind of walked them through, what is needed to happen to address the enforcement order and to develop a restoration plan. Myself and then the property owner agreed upon a new deadline for them to submit a restoration plan for the commission. And that is, we gave them over 4 months. So 4 months plus the remainder of this month. So we're looking at a due date for that restoration plan to be July 31. I wanted to give them ample time to shop around, find a firm that can develop this restoration plan for them. Because after this deadline passes, we will just be referring this to the law department for enforcement if they fail to meet that deadline. So initially they were willing to work with us, and then they got it in their mind that they had a defense that was we didn't know about it, so you can't hold us to that standard. So they've come around from that position, which is good, and they're willing to work with the commission. And I thought it would be good to try to give them that time that we had initially given them, which was about 4 months from October to the February deadline. That's kind of where things are. I did ask for the property owner to attend the meeting tonight. I don't think that they are in the attendees list, but that's not necessarily required. So, any questions about the deadline? Any concerns about extending that deadline for them from the commission?
That deadline is only for the receipt of the plan itself, not to actually have the restoration work done.
That's correct, Madam Chair. So in general, when you want to do this restoration plantings, you either want to do it in the springtime or in the fall. My thought is, it's very ambitious to have that done this spring. So the goal would be to have this planting done in the fall of 2025. So by giving them, time into July to develop that restoration plan, they would still have time, assuming the commission approves that plan, they will have time to, get all the, order all the plants, organize labor and things like that to get the restoration plan, put in place this fall, hopefully.
Commissioners, any questions? I was just looking through the files, Kyle.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of a written something that includes a list of points that you discussed when you met with the homeowner last week? Could that be put into the file showing what the expectations are?
I sent an email to our city attorney that kind of outlined what we discussed and the deadlines. So maybe I'll just print that out and get that uploaded, just so there's a copy, like a record that's somewhere other than just like in the recesses of my mind.
Rather than having just a verbal, this is what we're doing kind of thing. So that way, that would be great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep, and we have Commissioner Curtis has her hand raised.
Oh. Sorry, Peggy.
I wanted to know what happened to the marker delineations of the wetlands. Were they removed and do they need to be replaced?
Yes, so that's a great question. The order of conditions that the commission issued does require very, very. We've had discussions in the past couple of months about like what conservation markers are appropriate for what property and what type of development and whatever. This one, because the wetland was so close to that, it goes right up to that foundation, had very strict and robust conservation marker requirements. There was supposed to be signage along the foundation because it's just basically kind of a concrete wall. There was supposed to be signage along that, and then on either side of the property where like the actual lawn area transitions into wetland, there was supposed to be a fence that was installed there with signage. I don't know if that was ever installed. I don't have any record of there ever being a certificate of compliance issued for this property. And that's when that review would have been done by the agent, would have gone out there and confirmed that all this stuff was installed. So I don't know. I don't know if that was ever put in place and if it was removed or if it just never made it there to begin with. So one thing that like we ought to be doing moving forward, and we haven't been doing this recently on the notices of intent for home construction, but we should do this moving forward, is we should require that at least a partial certificate of compliance be applied for by the applicant before a certificate of occupancy can be granted by the building department. That would require that someone, an agent of the commission or a commission member, go out there and see the site and confirm that it meets these minimum standards, which would include that those conservation markers be in place before a certificate of occupancy is issued by the building department and before people can take residence up in that building. Because, again, I don't have any record that the certificate of compliance was ever actually requested for this property. I don't know if the commission ever issued it.
Is that something that would be put into regulations?
I mean, technically, you are supposed to have that done to wrap up the order of conditions. That's part of the order of conditions. I don't know how often that's enforced. If someone doesn't request that certificate, how often the commission will issue like an enforcement order for them to request that certificate. I can kind of ask around. I'm just not sure how that's done. But technically, that is a condition of the order of conditions. Is the receipt of the certificate of compliance after all the permitted work is done.
Who issues a certificate of occupancy?
The building department would.
So would that be a building department issue to say that if there's anything cooking with Concom?
Yeah.
Then you have to get something from Concom first before we
Yes,
can.
and that's language that has been included in previous orders from this commission. Like I've just kind of forgotten to include that on things, and I think it would be best practice to do that moving forward for these, for residences. We that requirement was included in the Heritage Court developments. All those individual lots there have that. And we've seen it in other places too. I just, when we've been recently reviewing the development off Quincy Street and the Debbie Road extension, we have not included that in those, but any subsequent filings for that development and any other new home development, I would recommend that we include that language.
Even on a single family home?
Yeah. Because, well, the 29 Country Club Lane is a single family home.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Anyone have anything else to share? I think it might be.
Are we talking about the wetland ordinance at all tonight?
Yeah, so
Got-
I guess briefly I can do that. I did send out an email to the commission, kind of asking them to review the. We don't have a wetland ordinance in Brockton, but my predecessor Megan Shave did draft a pretty robust document that was up for consideration at the end of 2022, early 2023, and it failed to be adopted by the city. So I've emailed a copy of that document to the commission members. I'd like you all to kind of review that. And obviously, I don't think that if we submit that same document to City Council, I don't think they will be any more successful than it was last time. But I hope that I'm hoping that we can maybe draft a slimmed down version of that document that just really hits the highlights that the commission thinks are the most important things. So I would like all of you to take some time over the next month or two and review that document, make a list of what you think the most important pieces of that would be. And then at a future date, we can have that discussion where we kind of bring our list together, kind of select a handful of things that we think are the most important bits to try to get passed into an ordinance. And then we can work on that process from there.
I know that Megan spent hours, literally hours, going through other communities, lists and everything.
Yeah, no, she did. She did a great job.
I was pretty sure that we approved it before she left. Didn't we
Well,
have a big discussion about it?
The commission may have voted to submit that for to city council, but ultimately the city council has to adopt it for it to become a city ordinance. So the commission may have reviewed that document, may have agreed with Megan to submit it and try to get it to be adopted as a city ordinance, but it didn't make it through that process.
Right.
So
I think it was actually submitted, but I think there was pushback from some people. And
yeah, I think
Well,
it,
I see there's a letter here from Scott Faria
yeah,
that
yeah.
he's protesting the fact that we could deny a project based on some of these numbers. But that's always been our prerogative to deny a project based on the vulnerability of the wetlands and how they.
you kind of broke up there, Peggy, but absolutely. You know,
Okay.
the thing is, you know, right now the Brockton is operating solely under the Wetlands Protection Act. And we don't because we don't have that local ordinance, or sometimes, you know, towns have bylaws. We don't have any local protections. Oftentimes, it's very common for municipalities around the state to have a local bylaw or ordinance that has more stringent regulations than what the state has. And so that's kind of what any local ordinance that we would be proposing would be stricter than what we're actively operating under now. You know, and so one thing that I think would be good is right now we have a 25-foot no touch policy, but that policy isn't really enforceable. It's a guideline, but it's not something that we can really put our foot down if push comes to shove. You know, we could deny a filing for, you know, not adhering to that policy, but the applicant always has the opportunity to appeal that decision, that denial, to the state. And the state's under no obligation to adhere to our policy. Now, it would have to adhere to our local ordinance, and so that's why having that codified in ordinance, it just gives you a lot more to work off of. That's just one example. Obviously, there are other things that we could be looking at, and that's kind of what I want the commission to do, is to look through that document. And if you have other ideas that aren't included in the previous ordinance proposal, bring that, you know, write that down also. But I'd like to get, you know, maybe a highlight and top five, and we can brainstorm and get some lists together and try to get something that's much more digestible in front of city council. And hopefully get something passed this time.
I do think also that there was a fairly robust enforcement section, I think, in there. But since it's kind of been it seems like it's been resolved through the legal department now as a result of your work.
Right. I think that, yeah,
all of that can be discarded, because I really think there was pushback from that as well.
Yeah, no, that was kind of my take away as well. There was a new enforcement mechanism included in that proposed ordinance, and whether that was needed, you know, depends on how you know, how well we're working with the law department at any given time. If the law department has the capacity to be taking on these cases, the extra workload that this involves. Since then, in 2002 and early 2003, the law department has staffed up pretty significantly, and we have had a lot better luck working with the law department and getting movement on these filings or these enforcement orders that have kind of been outstanding for ages. So that's something that I would agree with Joyce, that that may not be as necessary as it appeared to have been when this draft version, or this old ordinance proposal was put together, because I think we have an enforcement mechanism now, and we just didn't have that before.
Okay. So do I make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
That's my favorite motion.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made, seconded. Roll call vote.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Curtis, I. Green. Oh, okay.
Did Map say aye?
I think
No,
she might be
Shrieky doesn't
muted.
want to move.
Mr. Talbot, did you say aye?
Talbot, aye, please.
And Forrest, aye. Woo! Okay, have a good night.